Hey, what up, y'all? Mr. Cruz here. If y'all hear stuff in the background, I got my windows open. It's too nice of a day to like have the windows closed.
Beautiful day.
But we're going to take a look at Gate 12, a free plugin by Tia Glory, something like that. Let go. So Gate 12 is a gate plugin. If you don't know what a gate effect is, you can imagine this little playhead circle thing that's going here. I'm going to slow it down here a bit so you can kind of see it a little bit clearer. This kind of functions like a fader. So if you can imagine this tension knob right here is, instead of the tension, is the volume. What a gate effect does is it like turns the volume up and turns the volume down. All right, again, you're looking at what's on my screen here and not necessarily what's happening on like this sequence or pattern area down here. So that's what this is, and this is a completely 100% free plugin. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what I kind of came up with while playing and experimenting with this. But first, take a second here and look at the patterns that I have here, or not the patterns, but the parameters. You want to have your max knob turned all the way up and your minimum knob turned all the way down. Everything else, I found it kind of cool and creative to mess with, but those two, keep those settings the way they are. Because when you keep those settings the way they are, the mix fader up here, this section will actually work the way that you expect it to work. So anyways, all right, so let's take a listen to this beat that I've got. We're going to be focusing on this melody right here, the strings one. It sounds like this. And then in context with the beat, it sounds like this. And for the sake of this video, we're going to turn it up a little bit so we can hear it a little bit clearer. All right, so I have it turned on now. And now that you can kind of see the little playhead going, I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. I'm going to make it a little bit faster. Here's how this works so I can show you a little bit of how these parameters function. You have 12 different, I guess, presets or banks that you can kind of create your patterns with. This part right here, as long as you have your minimum and your maximum set like this, everything else you can kind of play with. Here controls the speed of your playhead, so you can kind of make it faster, or you can make it slower. I'm going to keep it for 1 bar for now. And you could also, sync it to your tempo, or you can set it to your own kind of hertz rate.
Hey, Oma, want a Hertz donut?
Over here in the sequencer area, if you scroll out with your mouse, it'll give you more of a grid for you to mess with, or you can scroll in. I'm going to scroll it in because this is kind of how I want it. You also have these different paint options, is what it's called. So with this, whichever one you have selected, you can click inside of your grid and it'll change it, and dragging up or down will determine how much of a gate gets applied to that. This button right here, this randomize knob, whatever you've painted, it won't change the pattern, right? So it won't change whatever like selection options that you have up here. It'll only change and randomize whatever you have down here. So it might make some parts louder, some parts smaller, and stuff like that. Let's go back to the way that I had it though. And for the most part, that's really what you want to have. You can turn the snap knob on and off here, but again, that is just the basics, and that'll get you where you want it to be. So let's go ahead and mess around with this. I'm going to turn my mix knob all the way down to 0 and then blend it in so you can kind of hear exactly what the Gate 12 is doing to my melody. All right, let's turn the mix knob up more. So you can kind of start hearing how that gate is being applied and turning it down at certain parts. Let's crank it all the way up. Well, not all the way. All right, let's mess around with this tension and give it more tension. All right, and now here, I don't use a gate effect very often, but for this, I actually really did like it. And one of the things that I would suggest you guys do if you're using something like the Gate 12, which again, 1000% free, is speeding it up. The faster it is, I think that like there's kind of like a sweet spot between like it's too fast and it's not really noticeable or like distorts the sound, to a sweet spot where like it sounds cool. It sounds like very lo-fi-esque or like kind of ethereal. So I'm going to go up to 1/4, and here is where I think it sounds best with the melody that I have. Actually, let's bring it down to 1/2. See right there, I think it sounds money. Right there, I think it sounds perfect. I'm going to turn the mix knob down a touch. And let's see what this would sound like with my melody pitched up an octave. Well, there you guys go. Gate 12 by Tia Glore. Go check it out. It's a completely free plugin. I'm definitely going to keep this in my arsenal because I just think it works and it's simple for when I want this kind of effect on a melody or on a vocal or something. I think the Gate 12 one gives me a lot more flexibility when I do want to fine tune how the gate works, especially with these different options as far as like what kind of patterns you can paint. That's what I got for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Other than that, it's your boy, Mr. Cruz. Out.